What can you do to save your kids from being destroyed by social media? And make sure you stick around to the end because I always leave precious jewels throughout the video that I promise you're not going to want to miss, especially if you're trying to protect your kids in this crazy digital age. Now, the first tip hurts me to say because I've been on social media for a long time. If you don't know who I am CyberFareedah. I'm an award-winning Forbes 30 under 30 online safety educator, and I grew up in the online age. I was a gamer since I was 13. I wasn't really much into social media, but I did have like Kik and all those type of things. I'd be like chatting with strangers all up until the hours of the morning and night, right? So I have seen firsthand what social media can do to young teens or young kids when they're on there and they're not prepared and they're not mature enough. So the first thing is to consider waiting. Decide whether or not they should be on social media. Actually, there's really no should for kids of should they be on social media, should they not. It kind of is an odd question to ask because it really is can they or may they be on social media, because no kid needs to be on social media, except I will give a caveat. If your kid is like an entrepreneur, right, or they want to create some type of impact, or they have a brand and they want to get their message out to other people, then having social media is something where you think, should they have a social media? Should my kid be on there? Because is the best way to reach new people, especially in a digital age that you really need to have that digital know-how and digital marketing and that type of stuff. If your kid is in that category, then we can talk about should. And the answer is, if you believe it's comfortable for you and your family, absolutely. You just have to be there every step of the way for your kids. But how can we prevent them from being destroyed by social media? Because whether or not you're on social media as an adult, but especially as a kid, because this entire channel is how to protect your kids online. So make sure you're subscribed so you get more videos so you can learn how to do this entire crazy stuff in the digital age. No matter whether you're older or younger or you're a teen, whatever it is, you still don't want to be destroyed by social media. But when we have young minds, developing minds on social media, we really want to make sure that they're at the stage where they can actually handle it. And so sometimes the best case scenario is to be like, you know what, we're not going to have them on social media at all until they reach a little bit more mature age, right? So that might be late high school. That might be like, look, you're going off to college anyways, whatever, you can download TikTok or Snapchat or whatever you want to download, whatever the new thing is, even as we're speaking, right? It's okay because as they're getting older. But when they're younger, when they're 13 or 10 or 9 or whatever, you're just like, most social media is 13 anyways, right? Because they can't collect information. They have the whole laws and guidelines. So you want to wait as long as possible. Recently, there was a mother who promised her kid $1,800 if he waited to be on social media until he was 18 years old. And it was really difficult for him to wait for that long, but he ended up being able to wait for that long. He went through a lot of sugar and iced tea with his friends from high school and middle school because they're like, why aren't you not social media? He felt a little bit as an outcast in that because he couldn't connect to the new trends that were happening on TikTok or whatever it was. So he felt like an outcast inside of that. But they did share certain things with him because you don't have to be on social media to see a video or to see a meme or whatever it is. And so he was, even though he went through that period, he said that he absolutely loved it and it wasn't a great experience overall. And he feels like he was able to accomplish his goals and he didn't have a lot of problems that a lot of kids have when they join social media too early or when they're not mature enough. So he loved it. Not all kids will love it, but you can have that discussion with your kid. Like maybe there's an incentive for them to wait for social media if they want to. And if they end up being on social media, then the next couple of tips, watch the rest of the video, is for you. If you decide not to, look, you can close this video, watch my other videos, comment below on why you decided not to. So if you're a parent or you're a kid, let me know in the comments, do you believe waiting for social media is actually effective? Is it easy for other people to do in this digital age, especially in the middle of the pandemic? Let me know your thoughts as a parent or as a teen, whoever you are. I would love to know what you think. Oh, I forgot to add that the boy who waited until he's 18 and got almost 2K from his mother, he finally joined Instagram or TikTok, and he was just like, it was really difficult for him to join in because he felt like an older guy, but he 1,000% would do the entire thing over again. So as a parent, you can decide whether or not, if they're mature enough or if you're willing to wait. If you are willing to wait, then have other activities and make sure they understand that it is okay for them to develop that resilience of not always following the crowd. So what about if you decide, hey, you know what, we are going to have social media for our kids. They are mature enough. We believe that the greater good is for them to be on social media. How can you support your kids from not being destroyed by social media and actually being enhanced by their experiences on social media. Before I get into what I really want to get into, which is holistic online safety, and if you've been following this channel for a bit now, then you know that holistic online safety means giving your kids the freedom that they want and the safety and security that they need, but also looking at the online space and online safety space as a holistic means. You're not just focused on parental controls or parental monitoring, you're understanding the deep need for 7 layers deep, and that's what we're going to go into the video, but I'm not going to go too deep in this particular section, but in like 2 minutes I will go into that. But before we get into that, I do want to mention certain things that you're going to have tech-wise before I get into what I actually want to get into. The first thing you need to know as a parent, before we even get to the parental controls, because I believe almost every parent is thinking like, how can I filter things that they shouldn't see? How can I make sure that this has the restrictions and boundaries that I want as a parent? Before we even get to that, let's talk about the security of accounts, because we always talk about parental controls or parental filtering or whatever that is, but we do not talk about security and safety. So many kids' Instagram and TikTok and YouTube accounts are being hacked into because there aren't the foundational security controls inside of that. So the first thing you want to do when you make an account with your kid, ideally you make it with your kid, not for them, unless they're really young, like 7 or 8 or whatever, and they're just trying to watch videos or something, that's different. But when they're a little bit older, you're going to want to set up the account with them to show them what they need to do to protect themselves online, especially as they get older and they create their own accounts. You want to make sure they have really good passwords, long passwords, what we call passphrases, okay? And I'll give you, 1Password has a great password generator, so you don't even have to come up with your own passwords. I will link it down below. And then also you have something like a password manager. There are many password managers. So 1Password has a password manager. LastPass has a password manager. I'll put all of these links in the description box, so make sure you check that out, right? You want to make sure you have something that can effectively store your kids and your passwords so that other hackers and predators aren't easily able to hack into your account or your kids' accounts. Because one way that kids are destroyed by social media is they get into an account and they're messaging their friends and they're saying all of these things. That's their friend, they know them from school, or that is their cousin, and they're putting all of this personal detail and personal chat in that chat because they trust the person. But then their cousin or their friend or their account gets hacked by a predator, and that predator reads through the chat and decides to take the stuff from the chat and exploit them, right, or blackmail them from the stuff that they put inside. This has happened. Okay, I'm not just like making up some random story off the top of my head. This has happened. So it's really essential that you protect your kids' accounts with really good passwords. And another point for security is 2-factor authentication. That means 2 ways of authenticating to one account to make sure that only authorized people are signing into the account and no random people. This is also something that predators and hackers take advantage of when it comes to kids' accounts, whether in gaming or social media. You do not want their lives to be destroyed because someone decided to take advantage of less security controls in your kids' accounts and put all of their stuff online. And this has happened to many, many kids. Next way you can protect your kids from being destroyed by social media is privacy. Not only do you want to look at the privacy settings inside of the account of how can we make this account or the experience online more private, meaning that they're not sharing their real name doesn't show up, right? Or that they can't, people who don't know them can't really add them as friends or message them, or their account is no longer public, it's actually a private account. Whatever it is, those are like some privacy settings. Some unknown privacy things that you can do for your family is something called sharenting, not sharenting online. What does that mean? We're always on teens about how much they share about their emotions and what they're doing and where did they go and all of those things online, and we should be, because if you're listening, please do not do that. They do not need to know that type of information. If you want to speak to someone who means well to you or someone who loves you, you can like have a conversation with them, but don't put that all up in social media. No one needs to know about that, right? They don't care enough about you to be able to handle those emotions in a way that needs to be handled. So don't do that for your own safety as well. But also for parents, when you're listening to this, not sharing so much information about your kids. You have to be cognizant of, is this information that I'm sharing, will they like this information when they grow up? If I want to share a cute picture and they're like 3 months old and it's not bath time or it's not in a bathing suit, because that's what predators and pedophiles are looking for in parents' accounts, you want to be mindful about the type of pictures you're posting. But also, like, do I need to put their entire name online, their first, middle, and 2, 3, 4, 5 last last names, right? Does online world need to know where they go to school or where you go on vacation or their favorite this or that? So be sure that you're protecting your kids' privacy and you're showing your kids how they need to operate in the online world. You don't want your kids putting up all the information about you and what you like to do and all of the ups and downs that you had in that particular day. You would like them to discuss it with you and be like, hey, look, I want to post about this, and you can accept that, you can agree to that, you can consent to that. So do that for your kids as well when it comes to privacy. A lot of kids are being destroyed by social media by an unlikely source, and that is their parents. And the last thing you want is you to be the source of something that causes a lot of distress in their lives. Next is parental controls. I don't think I really need to go too deep into this, but there are parental controls that you can use to make sure that you're having boundaries with your kids. As always, I do not like calling it parental controls. I don't think the mindset of controlling and monitoring is a good thing. I do believe that filtering and restrictions and making sure that you have boundaries depending on your kids' maturity and age is extremely important. But the mindset of control and monitoring does not sit well with me. So let me know. Tell me below if you believe that monitoring and control that name needs to change, or you feel like it's just fine. It's just a tool, Fareedah. You're being dramatic, right? But I personally don't like it. But however, the idea of it is really important. Meaning the idea of making sure that this kid is way too young to see this type of content. We're gonna filter that out. They don't need it in random people messaging them. We're gonna take that out. We're putting boundaries and controls on their mental, emotional, spiritual, physical space, virtual space, so they're able to grow up into the beautiful, awesome human beings that we want them to. This is the last but the most important point of this entire discussion that I'm having with you. If you really want to protect your kids from being destroyed by social media, I need you to pay attention to this part. And if you don't remember anything that I said in this video, none of the security stuff, none of the safety stuff, none of the privacy or parental stuff, I want you to pay attention to this part. Everything I said before matters a lot. But this matters more than you could ever understand unless you really understand, right? We so often miss this point, and this is what the essence of holistic online safety is. It's very, very simple as two things. Is your kids' connection with you. I'm not just talking about open conversations. You need open conversations. You need non-judgmental conversations. You need to make sure your kids feel like they can just be a human being, not just a kid, but a human in front of you. You don't want to every single time you're talking to them, you're just nitpicking all of the things that are doing wrong. So be careful that when you're having interaction with them, that they're positive, they're kind interactions. Not everything is going to be like, oh, Dandy, you're going to be really pissed off some days, and sometimes you're going to be like, I don't really like your behavior at this moment. That's totally okay. I'm saying that every single interaction should not be nitpicking or what you're doing wrong or why are you on social media or why are you doing this? I don't understand why you like to game so much and why are you on the game so much and why do you like this account? Because now you're alienating them, and when they really need you, when they need a parent figure, when they need a guide, when they need a guardian, because guess what? We never grow out of needing a guide. We always need a guide, whether it's a coach, a mentor, whatever it is, a sponsor. We always need a guide in our lives. And for kids, their first and most important guide is their parents, and you want to make sure that you're there for them in that way. The second part of holistic online safety is healing yourself internally as a parent and creating a safe space for you. Because if you're not modeling what it means to be a healthy and full adult, your kids will not be able to do that as well. One way they get destroyed by social media is first internally within their own selves and within their own household. If they're already messed up internally, meaning that they don't feel like there's a safe space, they cannot be themselves, they cannot be open, they cannot be vulnerable because they're so used to having all of these walls and barriers with you, especially, or with another spouse or whatever it is, another partner relationship or a family member. When they go online, they're seeking and they want help. And this is like a lot of predators and pedophiles or whatever. They sense that. They sense when a family is to the point where they're not having these conversations. They're not being vulnerable with each other. They're not going to therapy. And those are the victims that they like to go towards. Not only that, we're not even just talking about the pedophiles or the predators that go after kids or families who are unhealed, but also the kids seeking out certain things like relationships or acting out online because all they want is what? They want to feel like they belong. They want to feel heard, and they want want to be accepted and they want to feel like they are enough as they are. And so a lot of the destruction that you see online is because they're disconnected, they're disassociated, and they do not believe that they are worthy and that they are enough. And you want to instill those principles in your kids so they are not destroyed by social media. This is the importance. This is the holistic online safety. This is how you protect your kids online. To everything I said before, does that matter? Absolutely. That's why I said it. That's why I said it first. We understand that. But this point, I really want you to take home and you to take it really seriously. There was a study about like kids who are in detention all the time, and they're always unruly and they're causing like so much havoc in the school. And they tried to send the kids to therapy, and they got counselors involved or whatever it was, and it really wasn't working. Like the success was like really small. There was only a couple of kids that maybe got better, but they would go back and keep doing BS in the school and outside of the school. But when they told the parents of these unruly, destructive kids to go to therapy, they saw astronomical results. And if I can find the study, I will link the study below. If you know the study, then you can link the study below if you know it from the top of your head. But I'm going to try to find it, hopefully in time by the time you're watching this. But it is like the study is an amazing resource into seeing what actually happens when parents are healing themselves. And this is not to say that you're a bad parent or all these bad parents out here. We're all just unhealed human beings. I'm giving you grace in your journey, and I'm giving myself grace in my journey. We all have sugar honey iced tea that we're going to have to get sorted out. But you as a parent, you want to get that sorted out as you're speaking to your kids. You want to lead by example. So much of this is leading by example. When I mentioned the privacy thing about protecting your kids and making sure that you have some privacy online, I first talked about how are you protecting your kids' privacy. What stories are you sharing? What videos are you sharing? What pictures are you sharing? You're leading your kids by example. So if you want kids that are healed and healthy and not easily destroyed by social media or what's going on in the world, you want them to have peace internally within themselves. Because if we want to change the world, what do we have to do first? We have to look at the man in the mirror, and we have to ask him to what? Change his ways, right? And so if you want the world to change, if you want everything else to change, you have to change yourself first, and the world around you will slowly start changing. Now, is everything going to be like peace and butterflies? No, of course. We have this, the world is basically a big giant test and lesson for us that we have to continuously learn. But you can make sure that your house is not a battleground, mental, emotional, spiritual battleground for your kids. So if you want your kids to not be destroyed by social media, you have to focus on their mental, emotional, and spiritual health. However you believe mental, emotional, spiritual, everyone has a different guide. Everyone has a different measurement, values, and whatever morals, whatever code that you live by. But make sure that they have those things by you emulating that, by you showing up in that. And you do not have to be perfect. There's no such thing as perfect. Your kids do not need you to be perfect. Your kids just need someone who's consistently trying to be better than they were, 0.1% or 1% than they were yesterday. And that will give them the tools to operate in the world that can be really, really, really dark and difficult. To round this all up, you can't be there for your kids unless you are there for yourself. If you want to be there for yourself, you want to know how to holistically protect your kids online, to give them the freedom they want and the safety and security that they need without you having to be tech savvy, then join the Safe Kids movement. That is the parents that are inside of an entire world where they're learning how to protect their inner peace and give their kids inner peace and safety, and understand what the hell is social media safety and gaming safety and all of that with me. My name is Fareedah Shaheed. I help you protect your kids online. Hopefully you are subscribed to this channel because there are so many more videos to come. If you have reached towards the end of this video, smack the like button, tap the like button, and comment below saying, I am committed to holistic online safety. I am committed to holistic online safety, just to let me know and everyone else know that you have reached the end of this video and you are dedicated to protecting your kids from being destroyed by social media. Until next time.